Okay, let's take a look at the lineouts. Now, lineouts are quite a lot more complicated than you might initially think in this game. So here's a lineout about to take place over here. So some things that are important here. So first of all is actually the order in which players line up. So I'm looking at the red team now. So you have the number 1 standing at the ball. Number 2 is going to go stand right at the top. We need to follow them to see what order they stand in. So it's 1, and if you follow the 3, see it goes high up there, and we need to try and figure out from this which order they stand in, which will become important a bit later. So if you take a look at how they line up over here, it looks to me like it goes 1, 4, then there's a 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 4, 3, 5, 6, 1, 4, 3, 5, I'd say 7, 6, 8. 1, 4, 3, 5, 7, 6, 8. This is actually confirmed by Sweet Nitro themselves. So if you check this forum post, they list it as the same as what I've just seen. So 1, 4, 3, 5, 7, 6, 8. So that's the order that they stand in the lineouts. Right, so if we now look at the lineout stats, so we have lineout strength and lineout jump. We can also confirm, by the way, that lineout jump is only relevant to the target, or the guy who receives the ball in the lineout. You might not necessarily get the ball to your target. That depends on another stat. So your number 2 should actually have a very good pass accuracy and pass distance accuracy. So these two will determine whether or not your ball actually gets to your intended target on your number 2, by the way. So my number 2, I don't think is too good at that. So my lineouts are not that strong at the moment. So you'd want to have a good pass accuracy on your number 2. Okay, just to ensure that you actually target the right player in the lineouts. So if you look at my number 1, he is my target and he will have a good lineout jump. Okay, so lineout jump, obviously super important for the target. Then for the guys involved in lifting. So if you now look at the order in which they were standing, okay, that looks like this. So now 1, 4, 3, 5, 7, 6, and 8. So if I am targeting my number 4, yeah, so for him, his jump strength will need to be very high. And the number 3's normal line out strength will need to be as high as possible to increase the chances of the number 4 actually catching the ball. Same thing for him. So you as well, line out strength as high as possible. So your catcher needs to have a high jump, and the line out strength is only applicable to the 2 guys involved in lifting. So in my strategy, I throw the ball to my number 1. Now I must admit I'm not 100% sure if then the lineout's strength of the number 4 is applicable at all, but just to be safe, I always increase the guy next to the guy catching, and always increase his lineout strength. So I'm not sure specifically for targeting the number 1, but for all the other players, if you're targeting say number 3, then the number 4 needs to have high lineout strength, and the number 5 needs to have lineout strength high as well. So those are the only 2 that count. So if you target the number 6, this number 8's lineout strength needs to be high, and the number 7's lineout strength also needs to be high. And the 6, of course, needs to have high lineout jump. So according to whatever your team layout and their stats are like, you need to determine which combination will be best for your own lineouts and then set that up in your strategy. So if I look at mine, okay, as I said, I target my number 1, so his jump is high. So my number 4 then, because if we look at the order in which they stand, the number 4 is the one that's going to be closest to the number 1. He then needs to have a decent line out strength. You know, obviously, as I said, we don't know if the number 1 is actually being lifted or not, but it's just safer to have the guy next to your target have a good line out strength. Yeah, so number 4 needs to have a good line out strength for me to, well, assist my number 1 as much as possible. Then the number 3, in that case, if number 1 is the target, his lineout strength is then not part of the calculation at all to determine who wins the lineout. For most people, their targets say the 7 or 8. So if you're targeting your 7, he is going to need to have a high lineout jump. Mine does not, so I never target my 7. But the guys on either side of him, so the 8 needs to have a high lineout strength, and my number 6 would also need to have a high lineout strength. You see, my number 6 can't jump either, so I'll never set my 6 or my 7 as lineout targets. Okay, then if you want to beat a specific opponent, so let's take a look at this guy. I play quite regularly because he employs similar tactics to me. So let's take a look at his number 1. So you'll see his lineout strength and jump on this guy are really low. So he's got 0 chance of ever stealing the ball from my lineouts if I'm targeting my number 1, because then my lineout jump is just too high. Also, if you look at his number 3, lineout strength not that great either. So really he's got no hope of ever winning the ball in a lineout against me. So he only starts maxing it in his number 4, 5, and 6. So at that point he's very strong. So I wouldn't try and throw to my 4, 5, and 6 ever against him. So those are the types of considerations you need to make depending on the opponent you're playing against. So why do I have, if you look at my strategy, for my lineouts, you see I target number 1, and I also limit the number of players. So in general, you'd want as many players as possible if you have decent lineout stats like what I have, because it's more likely that the opponent hasn't maxed all their players' lineout stats. But generally, I'm playing against good opponents lately, so I've noticed that in general, their front 3 or 4 players are not that great at lineouts. So I limit the number of players in lineouts and make sure I have my best players in those first 3 positions. That just gives me a better chance in the lineouts in general.